Hello there, Ray here, and we got a brand new snapshot for 1.15. This is 19W46A, and we will be reviewing this snapshot with all the changes. About half of them could be seen as new content for the game, and the other half could be seen as bug fixes. Now we are getting close to the end of the 1.15 snapshots, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. And make sure if you guys do enjoy this to go ahead and leave a like as well as share with others. Now let's get into all the changes with the newest 1.15 snapshot. They have finally fixed it so that you can now eat food while you're in creative. This is a change I really enjoy, as a lot of times you'll be doing stuff in survival and I'll be like working and my health gets low and I don't want my player to die, so I'll hurry switch over into like creative or spectator mode, and then I want to come in and eat some food to regenerate my player's health or his hunger bar, and you just can't do it normally. Now you can, so look at that. I can eat all I want. I think you can even eat beyond your health bar, so I hop back into survival. Yeah, I'm full hunger, full health, but I'm still able to eat more. So that makes it really nice for testing. They also added in 3 new advancements to do with the bees. You can see one of them right here. Totally bee location. Move a bee nest with 3 bees inside of it using Silk Touch. Here's another new one. Be our guest. Use a campfire to collect honey from a beehive using a bottle without aggravating the bees. So they're pretty self-explanatory. The first 2 are part of the husbandry tab, and the last one's part of the venture tab. You can find it right here. It's called Sticky Situation. Jump onto a honey block to break your fall. Really cool advancements, and I really like when they add new advancements, as it brings a lot of life into the game and some stuff for people to kind of go towards. I wish there was actually more advancements, as I know a lot of people will make custom ones, which can make the game pretty fun. They also made a fix to the way bees come out of their hives. So a lot of times we were seeing bees coming out in weird locations, and sometimes they're coming out and going inside of nearby blocks, like I showed in the past. They would suffocate something like a shulker box here. But now they made it so that they'll come out of the front of the beehive. So that means whenever you make your farms, like all your farms here, make sure the entrance, which is this one right here, these little indicators, are always pointing towards the spot where there's air. You can see my old bee farm over here. I have like one pointing over here, and some of them are not pointing in the right direction. So yeah, make sure if you have your bee farms to point them all straight forwards. That when the bees come out, they will be placed in the right location. Like these bees, we want them to be placed inside of here, and that way we can continue our bee farm. And this is something that a lot of people have recommended, as it's really difficult to try to house the bees in confined space and make them come out in the right location. And you can see my past designs here. We had to fill in all this area into the glass just to try to prevent them from ending up in the wrong location. This should make compacting our bee farms much easier, so we will definitely be visiting these bee farms and trying to update them with these new changes. And every Wednesday and Friday we do a Twitch snapshot stream where we invite the viewers to come and join us to test out the newest snapshot on our testing world. Make sure to turn on your notifications here on YouTube, as well as follow me on Twitter and our Discord, so you know when those streams come live. You can hop on. That should be a lot of fun working on new bee farms to go with these new changes. And this also fixed a bug to do with bees taking damage when they were leaving their nest. This beehive seems a little bit messed up. As soon as the bee comes out, it goes back in again. Maybe we should go ahead and remove some of the honey. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, they came out definitely, because they're mad at me now. They also made a major change to the way mobs die and drop XPs. So in the past, what would happen is a mob would die, and it would drop its item first, and then a short while afterwards it would drop its XPs. And now you see they changed it. They also made it so that the XPs will come out exactly where the mob has died. So probably from the very center of the mob. You turn on the hitbox. Let's go ahead and kill it. You can see the XPs coming out. And this is really nice. That way XPs doesn't get kind of caught up in weird stuff around it. This also means it's going to do some pretty big changes to the way we would kind of kill mobs in some scenarios. So if you guys seen our lightning farm, the way it works is we have tons of mobs coming through, and we actually kill them, and they drop the items first, and then we have zombies sorting out the items. And then when the XPs come spawning in shortly afterwards, there is lava placed there, so the XPs are immediately destroyed, as one of the laggiest things in the game is XPs. So if it builds up, it could pretty much crash our server. And just by taking advantage of the different timings between the item coming out and the XPs coming out, we were able to easily sort the two. So this is something to keep in mind with your design when you're designing farms, especially farms that have to do with player gathering XPs. But this change is probably for the best, as I really like it that XPs and items all kind of come from the center and they don't get glitched into anything around them. And if you guys know of any other scenarios where this might have change the way the game behaves, go ahead and tell me down in the comments. And if you want to learn more about our lightning farm, you guys can check out the link down below. They fixed some quirky behavior to do with sand when falling on top of boats in some scenarios. This is something I actually showed you guys like about 6 months ago when I did a video about new changes to do with sand. We actually did a stream and we came up with a lot of weird circumstances where I was quickly switching between a block form as well as like an entity form. And somebody combined this to do with that world border little trick that I showed in a past video where you can go ahead and place a cactus at the world border and it will immediately grow very quickly. And they went ahead and stuck this cactus onto one of these weird sands that I showed you guys in the past. And they actually made a very quick cactus farm out of it, but they went ahead and fixed it in this snapshot. So you can see now that when we drop sand on top of this, it quickly converts over from a block into an entity. If I drop it from here, these are all entities, and you can't like place any cactus over here. And it fixed those really fast like cactus farms or bamboo farms or sugarcane farms to do with this zero ticking of the sand block here. There's a whole bunch of other quirky stuff that we showed to do with sand block, and I'll link to the video as well as the stream where I showed all this stuff off. And I'm hoping to do a video about some of the quirky stuff that we discovered with other guys that were part of that stream. Have you ever wondered why you can make baby pigs by like clicking a spawn egg on adult and it'll make a baby, but you couldn't do it with a zombie? Well, they've now changed that, so now if you right click adult, you will now get a baby. So you notice how every time I click it, you'll always get a baby. If you click a baby on a baby, it looks like you'll also get a baby zombie. That's really cool because a lot of times in testing, it's really annoying. You have to come in with the command to summon the zombie. I wonder if something like this would also work for like magma cubes. That's another thing I really get annoyed by. If I click on a big one with little ones, do I get little ones on this guy? Oh no, I don't. You don't get nothing on them. That'd be cool if they could do the same thing with magma cubes maybe. They fixed a bug to do with furnace minecarts being able to accept client-side items. Now, if you don't know furnace minecarts, when you click on them using like charcoal or coal, they'll actually start having a power source and they'll actually just start moving forward like an engine in a train. And this allows them to drive themselves, and this one's actually driving itself off the rails. If I push it back on rails, you'll see it'll drive back off again. But it was accepting client-side items, meaning that you could have a ghost item in your inventory. It's possible to power the furnace minecarts using this ability. They also fixed a problem to do with minecarts that came out recently, where any item actually used on a furnace minecart would make it work. There's also a problem that when the player would place down a painting, you can see the guy doing a little arm animation. But if you try to place a painting in an area where it wouldn't allow you to do that, let's say you're trying to do a painting against this rail here, it was still allowing the player to do that arm animation. They also went ahead and changed the texture of the dragon fireball to kind of mimic that of the fire charge. I actually have a dragon's fireball right here, and most of the time it's kind of invisible. Once in a while it will flicker. You can see it right there, it kind of flickers really quickly. But yeah, they're trying to make it mimic the fire charge item, which you can see right here. They also fixed some quirkiness to do with dropping an anvil onto a shulker. That's what this is right here. Go ahead and drop it. You can see it looks like it's sitting there just fine. And you can see that it looks like it's sitting there just fine, but if we turn on the hitboxes, you can see it's actually an entity and it's staying in entity form. And this is because it is currently colliding with the shulker box and it only turns into a block form once it actually goes onto the ground. So it'll stay at this form here and you can't like break or anything. It's just an entity. And yeah, you can stack as many as you want up there. But like most items that are falling like this, if they sit at this kind of falling state for quite a while, they will just end up breaking off as an item. So you've seen one dropped as item. And yeah, same thing happens like sand, just stays as entity. But the anvils were making kind of a constant falling noise, as well as a glitching between being a block as well as entity. They made a fix to do with particles. So particles that are from transparent blocks, such as glass, which is transparent, should also be transparent. And the problem is they weren't transparent. So let's go ahead and drop ourselves. You can kind of see the particles that fall out from it. You can see they're transparent, like you can see right through them. They fixed the problem to do with wandering traders sometimes running extremely fast, and we actually experienced this during our stream when it would like kind of turn nightish or dayish. The wandering trader would just zip around extremely fast. And I'll link to some footage if you guys want to see it down below. There was a problem to do with the bonus chest, which is something you can choose when starting a new world. And it's a little chest that kind of has some startup items for you. The problem was that the chest was sometimes spawning way up in the air or improper locations. Let's go ahead and check out this once it's loaded. And there is the bonus chest. You can see it. It has little torches around it. And it looks like it spawned in a good location. And this is kind of stuff you can expect from it. Kind of starter gear. food as well. They fixed two bugs to do with command blocks, and the problem was you'd accidentally put like a space at the end here and then like hit done, the command would not run properly. And I often experience when I use like the repeat command that sometimes it doesn't always continue to repeat once the chunks are reloaded. Wolves have a set amount of health, and the health can be changed by using like commands such as like data, where you can change the MBT of certain mobs, but there was a problem that you could actually change the health of a wolf. And that's something they have now fixed. Baby bees can also be aggressive towards a player, but there was a bug to do with them not actually using their kind of attack animation towards the player where they try to turn around and sting the player. Let's go ahead and just test it. So if I try to make them angry by hitting them, let's see if the baby bee will actually do its stinging animations right here. Yeah, you can see it just turned around and stung me. Another problem they fixed to do with players right-clicking arm animation kind of going out when it shouldn't is to do with item frames. So in the past, when you would try to click an empty item frame, your arm would still move, but now you can see I'm right-clicking and nothing is occurring. They also added a right-click animation that can be seen when the player right-clicks a parrot. So if you make a parrot sit, my arm should move now. Yes, so that's something new they added. There was a problem to do with setting your render distance higher than 8, causing the game to freeze. Let's go ahead and just switch it up. And yeah, I don't know, it seemed to be pretty fast. But they were saying like at even higher values, when you switch them, the game would freeze for almost like a whole minute. Another problem to do with bees that was fixed is they weren't sleeping during the rain. This is something that kind of goes back to real life bees where they kind of go back to their hives at night and when it rains and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and set the weather to rain, and we should see the bees try to go home. But of course, if there is a hive that contains more than 3 bees, then they won't be able to all go inside, as 3 bees is the maximum that each hive can hold. There's a problem with the new command they added that they fixed, so there is a game rule to do immediate respawning. If that's set to true, and players were dying, their XPs are actually being removed as well. Placing Eyes of Ender into a frame will cause the arm animation, but it was actually causing it even though the player didn't have any more Eyes of Ender. So yeah, I'm right clicking, I don't see animation, so it must be working good. They also had another instance of the player arm animation occurring where it shouldn't. That's when the player was eating, the arm would kind of get thrust out like he was actually using something. They fixed the problem to do with bees not coming out of their hives in the nether dimension. So I guess if you want to have some type of bee farm in the nether dimension or even the end dimension, they should now work. The break animation for grass was actually coming up wrong. This is something I noticed in the last Snapshot review, and I thought it was a little strange, like I mentioned to you guys, but it looks much better now. Before, it was kind of having these extra green particles added to the grass here, and now it looks back to the normal breaking. There's a bunch of particles that were offset, including the ones that come from the player when they have potion effects, meaning that they don't come from the center of the player. And they fixed this as well as a whole bunch of them. They changed XP's orbs and the way they look. Before they were too defined and they weren't translucent. And to me, I didn't even notice that when I was looking at them last time. But yeah, you could definitely tell the change from the previous Snapshot review to now. You can see they are much more kind of blend in with the background. There was a bug to do with these giant spruce trees at which you can get in the game. We're actually generating too short, and I went ahead and fixed this. There's also a problem to do with trees growing in the wrong location. So if you like place down a sapling here and have dirt up here, this sapling would be able to grow, and it instead would not grow through the dirt, but would end up growing on top of the dirt. And one of the ProtoTech members, Ed Example, made kind of a funny video showing this, where trees are able to kind of grow in the wrong space all over. But trees being able to grow through dirt, that is actually normal. They also can grow through other things like logs and saplings. They also fixed some changes made to acacia trees. The leaves which come from them were actually spawning in different spots than they were before. They fixed a bug to do with the game trying to summon in a special type of structure was causing a bunch of spam in the console of the game. If an iron golem is fully healed, you no longer will have a hand animation appear when trying to right click on it. There was a problem that when you're in your death screen, your items that come out of the player when they're dropped was actually pushing the player around. Recently, the savanna biomes were having more grass than before, and they now reverted it back. Redstone blocks can be right-clicked by a player, and they should produce a lot of particles, and they weren't, so now they changed it back, so you can see all the particles that get produced from it. In the past, fishing lines weren't curving when thrown out, by your fishing rod. And they went ahead and fixed this. You can see now there's like kind of a slight curve to it. It's not just a straight line from my rod straight to the bobber. There's kind of a quirkiness going on with chests when they're open, and if you would hurry place another one beside it, it would actually kind of cut the animation of the chest, and they went ahead and changed this. Apparently in the past, your player would try to right click and do the arm animation when placing a saddle onto a baby pig. The saddle wouldn't actually get applied, but the right clicking animation would still occur. You can see that's now been changed. Made another change to beehives, and now they have it so that if you would like harvest this beehive and make these bees upset, other nearby bees would also be upset. There's a problem to do with the XP orbs rotation being wrong when you're in third person. Something we used to see in the past to do with potions being thrown. Potions rotation wouldn't be the same, but now it looks all good. They fixed a couple different bugs to do with using campfires underneath of beehives not working if different blocks in between. So if there was like a trapdoor, it wasn't working, or like a carpet, and they went ahead and fixed this stuff. There was a problem to do with making a super flat world using this here, and if you come in and actually put in something in these spots rather than words, then it would actually create the crash. They fixed a bug to do with the play sound not giving back the right feedback when using it on multiple targets. They fixed a problem to do with the anvil's item naming text field. Contents are rendered above the item tooltips. These are some wonky swords I kind of had during the snapshot. It just keeps adding more characters onto them. I'm pretty sure these are longer than anything you can get in survival. I just noticed that when I stick this one in the anvil, it cuts off a bunch of it just to make it fit over here. They fixed a problem to do with these names that appear when hovering over different things or being cut off by the image behind them. They fixed some inconsistencies to do with capitalization in some of these words. So notice how the main words are capitalized, but these kind of intermediate words are lowercase, and this is part of the change. There's a problem to do with Silk Touch enchantment still working even after the tool broke, and they fixed that bug. They changed it so that like nests as well as hives will no longer drop as an item in creative if there isn't anything inside of it. So this one is just a brand new fresh one. You can see nothing. You can see nothing dropped as item. Let's see if I can grab this one. There you go. So this one contains some stuff, NBT tags, and you see it drops as item. They also fixed a problem to do with boats and showing water coming through the bottom. I always thought this was kind of an odd thing. Essentially, the water line's like right here, and the boat is kind of shallow, so the water would actually show up in the bottom of the boat, but they went ahead and now finally fixed this. This snapshot contained a lot of bug fixes, many of which are pretty major changes to the game as well. Plus, quite a few of them were just kind of these animations as well as particle things, mostly to do with them kind of changing the way the player's arm animation works in different scenarios, as well as a lot to do with the rendering of the game being changed recently, and therefore they're fixing a lot of these rendering issues. I'm really excited about all the recent changes to do with bees and fixing their kind of AI, as well as where they come out of their houses and that kind of stuff. So that will make bee farms like the ones we got here much more productive. And if you guys would like to learn more about these bee farms, I'll link them down below so you guys can check them out. And we will be designing some new ones during our snapshot stream. Now, if you guys do notice any bugs in the snapshot, be sure to go ahead and report them. I try to report as many as I can. And even if you feel like somebody has already reported it, try to go ahead and search for it. And if you don't find it, go ahead and report it. And you can kind of tell they are in the mood of fixing bugs, so this would be a good time to try to get all your bugs fixed. So if you guys know of any major bugs that you want to bring attention to, please tell me down in the comments. Now we are getting kind of close to the end of the 1.15 snapshots. We will probably see pre-releases coming out very soon. Overall, I really like the way they kind of handled 1.15, the way they're fixing bugs and also adding features. Even though we didn't get tons of features, I know I talked to a couple of people that are more into enjoying playing around with new features. They kind of complained that there wasn't so many in this version, but from someone who's been playing the game for 10 years, I really enjoyed seeing them fix so many bugs. So guys, be sure to go ahead and share this video with others so they can learn about all the cool stuff that's going on with the 1.15 snapshots. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and bye-bye.